Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show, where just like Justin Fields, our bosses will talk bad about us too. I'm your host, Joe Frick. With me, as always, is the magnificent, always ball knowing, injury extraordinaire, and dominator of all dynasties that I have foreseen and will foresee in the future, Drew Hannis. Drew, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. And it's funny that you said that because if Zach's not talking badly about me, I actually think that there's a problem and that he's pissed at me because I think that that's his love language, just talking shit to your face. But yeah,
It is what it is. I mean, hey, it's lonely at the top, as they say.
you're
It's
actually one in life. You see that, right?
I know against
You think
all odds. My
do you think you're a fraud?
I think I'm a slight fraud, but my wide receiver core is so good that I could get lucky if they have.
You have the lowest points against in the league. I just wanted to know if you knew that.
No,
But
I do know that, and I think I'm like fourth or fifth in points for.
yeah. But
But
you're 6-1, so
I'm 6-1. It feels good. I traded for Jamar Chase before the season. I traded Amari and Hampton. I traded your 2026 first. And then I also traded T. Higgins.
yep.
I feel pretty good about that right now. 10-team league. I was like, give me the top dogs. Gives me Jefferson. Gives me Chase. It gives me Brian Thomas. I also have Igbuka in that league. Like, things are looking up. That was a very quick rebuild for me. I was the second worst team last year. In the top spot right now. Will it last? No. My quarterbacks are still atrocious. Thank God for Danny Dimes figuring it out in Indianapolis, but we'll see what we can do. But Drew, throw on the lab coat. Let's get this thing rolling. Not as bad of injuries in the past week, but still quite a bit to get through. So what are you seeing over there?
Yeah, we'll start with Bryce Young, who suffered a high ankle sprain. He'll be week to week. They've already basically said that he'll be out this week. You're not really starting a lot of Bryce Young. I mean, you might have some exposure in two QB leagues. I actually think that this is going to be an upgrade for Ted because we've seen Andy Dalton come in and fire it. He obviously has his down weeks, but he's shown that he's capable. It's like Flacco all over again, just not as old as Flacco, but the dude's shown that he could support wide receiver. So I like that Tet moving forward. He's not going to be hurt too much by this. The running backs, they split exactly the way we discussed last week with our Tinder. It was basically right down the middle. I think Rico got a little bit more run.
Yeah.
Chuba start.
Rico looked better, but
Yeah.
they're doing like the drive-by-drive thing, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, Rico continued to look good. We'll see how it moves. I don't think that they'll have one guy overtake the other at any point.
Right.
I think at worst it keeps them fresh, and I think that they like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Nico Collins suffered a concussion on Monday night. He's already working on a short week, which doesn't help this. We discussed before the show, Marv had a concussion last week, and he was able to play. It's still a very tough thing to call. You got to follow the practice report day to day. Non-linear injury, it's different for everybody. I don't expect him to play because it's a short week. They already said that he didn't practice today. So yeah, if you have Nico, you got to try to find another option. In terms of the wide receivers, it was nice to see that Jalen Noel got a little bit of run last week. Manufacturer.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, but I think that the main guy you're going to want out of this offense, because the offense has been so bad, is just because of the position. I think I'd start Dalton Schultz. If anything, he looked good as well.
Their defense reminds me of when Minka first got to the Steelers, and it was like they have no business winning games with the offensive product that they have. But that defense is so insane.
Yeah.
Like that's why I couldn't go to bed on Monday. I was like, they might come back. They might come back. They're still in this. They got another turnover. Like they are wasting a fantastic defense. And it all comes down to the offensive line. It's horrendous.
Yeah. I actually went to bed before that game even started, so it's funny.
You did the right thing. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. It's tough for me to stay up for these late games with a baby who, for the record, is crib tonight right now. The dude will not sleep in his crib. So, like, constantly, if he wakes up in the middle of the night, realizes his crib, starts screaming, I pull him out, get him to fall asleep, put him right back in. As soon as he, like, feels the crib, just starts screaming. It's tough. So I've been sleeping, like, not at all. But I digress. Brian Thomas Jr. suffered a shoulder injury, but we talked about the shoulder. I'm pretty sure it's the same shoulder that he hurt during the training camp. He's just been fighting through it all year. They have a bye week this week. It's a good timing for it because a lot of buzz is that he's going to be back after the bye. But honestly, it's clearly bothering him. It could be impacting what his season looks like at this point. But you drafted Brian Thomas in the second round, and a lot of cases he might be your wide receiver one. You guys got to keep throwing him out there, unfortunately, unless there's some other options you have. But it's tough out there, especially with all the injuries this year. Darren Waller strained his pec. He was already placed on IR, so you won't have him for the next 4 weeks at least. Jaden Daniels suffered a low-grade, grade 1 hamstring strain. They already announced that he won't play this week. Obviously, we'll monitor him week to week. It's actually, I'm kind of happy that they just marked him out already because they played on Monday night, and that would have been tough for you to sit there on Sunday morning and decide if you want to risk it or not.
Yeah.
I don't feel good about anyone on that offense right now, just like the Nico Collins situation. I mean, I had Mariota as I had Terry McLaurin as my OnlyFantasy the 1 week with Mariota, but Terry McLaurin's out. Deebo Samuel's still struggling to get on the field as well over the last couple weeks. So it's hard to trust anybody on that offense as well. And then 2 more here for guys that are going to be done for the season. Condre Miller tore his ACL. He's out for the season, which is so ironic for us to be sitting here right now saying that, like, it could be an uptick for Alvin Kamara. Like, where are we in 2025 that we're saying that Alvin Kamara is going to be replacing the guy that's injured? Because, like, he's been doing so much to eat away at Kamara. But Kamara will finally have that backfield to himself, and it doesn't look like he's going to be traded either, which is good because he doesn't want to go anywhere. Basically,
Yeah, and they don't seem to have a lot of confidence in Devin Neal. I mean, he's been a healthy scratch for a few weeks. Even after the injury, it was basically like, oh, Kamara's tired, fine. We'll put him.
Right. And then Mike Evans broke his collarbone. I think that he's going to come back this year. It's just that it's not going to be during the fantasy season.
Well, they're saying 14 to 6, somewhere between the 14 to 16, right?
Yeah. So, like,
you
might be able to sneak into, like, the championship, but I don't know. We'll see if it's something worth risking in a championship. You just want to bring a Mike Evans who hasn't played in 2 months back and put
Man, I can't believe the 1,000-yard streak is going to end this year. I didn't think it would ever happen. I thought it was just
400. You think he can go for 600 in the last 3 weeks?
I mean, he could. I wouldn't put it past Tampa, like, forcing it.
Yeah. But it's real quick on the Evans thing. Preseason, we just kept talking about how Ibuka's going to need injuries to, like, get on the field. That was the exact opposite of what happened. Plus, he's got the injuries now. So, like, the dude's going to be a top 10 wide receiver rest away, honestly.
Yeah,
he's already top 10 now, but, like, there's no.
Yeah, I was surprised that he played. I thought they were going to hold him out knowing they had Evans, but it seems like he made it out of that game without any setbacks. So maybe Mike Evans taught him whatever tricks that he has. Like, hey, you have a hamstring? No, like, we'll fix that. Like, don't worry about it. It's not real.
Yeah. It's crazy, but, good for him. It's nice to see him, succeeding with the Bucs. And I mean, Baker popped up on the injury report today too, which I'm not too worried about, but he also popped up. I didn't even see what his injury was because it was just like, was his shoulder?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
But then what's funny is, so they have him on the injury report for the shoulder, but then Teddy Bridgewater also didn't practice today with teeth.
Let me tell you a story here. I got my wisdom teeth out and I went to work same day because I forgot to schedule an appointment to get my wisdom teeth out. So they actually got so bad that when they took them out, it actually felt better. I went to work. This dude literally, I don't think he got his wisdom teeth out. He's too old for that. But, like, teeth, I don't even know what that means. Like, he got a root canal?
Maybe he got some veneers put in. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that was funny when I saw that. I was like, what the frick is this? But, yeah. 2 guys to note on that were injured. Lamar finally did practice today. I know that there was concern that he didn't practice the last 2 days. I know they don't.
It was weird, too, because they even yesterday, like, he was still listed as out, even though they were coming off the bye. It was very strange.
Yeah. And then today they just basically opened up their arms and hugged him and were like, thank you for saving us. I'm just Lamar Jackson. But, yeah, I think he'll play this week. If he doesn't play, the Ravens are in big trouble, honestly. Like,
if he doesn't play, they might lose to the Bears straight up.
yeah. And
they might lose to the Bears with Lamar Jackson playing.
I don't think so. I just, if Lamar plays, I think that he is going to go freaking bonkers because they just need it so bad. But we'll see.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Jones' window is activated, so something we'll look forward to if you're an Aaron Jones owner. We talked about this a few times, but Jordan Mason hasn't been overly productive to really take that backfield away, so I expect him to be a producer when he comes back, at least a flex option, low end RB2 type of range. But we should have him back in a couple weeks then too.
Cool. All sounds good. So before we jump into our headlines for the week, we're going to jump into the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those either on YouTube, Twitch, or X, however you feel it. Got Chad always in the chat, holding it down for the squad. Drew, what side do you want rest of season? Dobbs and Josh Palmer or Alvin Kamara? Working on this trade with the news of Watson being back and would love some additional thoughts.
I mean, I think it's pretty easy. You want Kamara side, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's the best player in that deal. Alvin Kamara hasn't overly produced. He's been a low-end RB2. You expect the uptick of production just from the injury that we talked about a little bit earlier with Miller. But at the end of the day, there's only one person that I really trust outside of Josh Jacobs in the Packers offense, and that's Tucker Kraft. I don't want to decide if Dobbs is going to catch a touchdown every week. Josh Palmer is nothing to me. I wouldn't even roster him. So right. Alvin Kamara seems like the only thing. And Watson might as well play in Tampa Bay because he's also made of glass. So there's really no point in even worrying about that. Chad would also like to point out that he put up 70 points versus the last place team in his league, and he's rethinking his life.
I'd like to see the lineup because I could absolutely see him forcing that on himself, honestly.
It was the 1 week that he played Josh Allen, but he was unfortunately on bye. Do you have any concerns, Dr. Drew, about the Egbuka do not practice today, or do you think it was just a maintenance day for this seasoned veteran?
I mean, obviously, he was fighting that hamstring. They're not going to push him considering they have nothing else, right? So, like, he might be getting a veteran day off at this point just because everyone's hurt and they can't risk him getting worse. So, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. You don't want to see Sterling Shepard in the X?
No. I have to start him this week. Is this by Mageddon this week?
By Mageddon, yeah. 6 teams out on bye. You know, most of my rosters are actually in pretty good shape, surprisingly. So, yeah. I don't know.
I have a lot of Puka. So,
yeah, Puka. You have if you were invested in the Lions at all, which I don't have a ton of shares of. So,
a lot of Gibbs.
So he said that for that 70-point game, QB options were Caleb, Bryce, Mac Jones. They combined for like 13 points. Yeah, it was pretty brutal all around, but we'll see where we land. On some more positive news, though, Drew, I know that they've got the bye this week, but we've seen 2 weeks in a row now where our second overall pick really holding it down for Jacksonville. Travis Hunter had 12 targets. He even got a carry last week. Second on the team in snaps for the position players. How are you feeling about Travis Hunter moving forward? Do you feel like he is a startable asset in fantasy football right now?
Yeah, I mean, if Thomas misses time, which is still possible, I think that he plugs right into your lineup because they're going to get him out there. I'm actually surprised it's taken this long. I remember we Tindered him earlier this year, and I swiped right. They spent so much to go get him with the Browns, and the fact that they are in the playoff hunt, obviously. I thought that they would want to feature him more, you know, the high price tag and getting fans in the seat. That's why they went and got him, is that they wanted to get more people at their games and just really into the Jaguars again. And they finally gave him a chance to really show himself last week as he played majority of the time on offense. I don't think he played a snap on defense like the third quarter. They were talking about it during the London game. It's just I like his talent. Obviously, we love his talent. It's just a matter of matchup. If he has good matchups, I think he's going to play. If Thomas misses any time, I think he's going to be on offense. It's just been so hard to really get a sense of how much they're going to play him on offense. But it seems like Adam Schefter's kind of been on it week to week. And he kind of called that this was a thing. So, I feel like if you pay attention to what he's saying, you're going to know when you could start him. I think that he was close to being droppable 2 weeks ago, but the
Sure.
life is definitely back for him now. And, it just takes one game for them to see what he brings to them as a team. And I think that he's going to play on offense more often. I do think he's in the flex radar now.
There we go. Cool. One other team backfield that I want to talk about. This will lead into our first Tinder of the day as well. Bears moving closer to a 50-50 split at the halfback position. So last week we saw Kyle Monangai. His playing time has been on the rise. So Swift over the first 4 weeks, 66.4% of the Bears' offensive snaps. And pretty much Swift was getting all the goal line work. Monangai started getting involved more in week 6. Playing time for Swift was down to 56.3%. And then last week, Swift at 52.9% of the snaps, Kyle Monangai at 45.6%. Monangai was surprisingly the third down back. I think people traditionally think of Swift as a pass catcher, but Monangai really thriving in that role. Swift carried the ball 19 times for 124 and a touchdown, also had a reception. Monangai 13 times for 81 yards and a touchdown, both viable fantasy options for that offense. We've seen a Ben Johnson offense very recently with 2 fantasy viable running backs. Do you think that this could be something to kind of roll with moving forward?
I mean, I definitely do. I was on this in the preseason. I love Monangai. The dude never fumbled in college. I just thought that he was the type of guy Ben Johnson would like. He just fit really well into the David Montgomery role, which, to your point, it hasn't really played out that way the last couple of weeks that he's been playing. But, the dude's obviously shown that he's capable. I started him in Fishbowl the last 3 weeks. I mean, I had to do it out of necessity, but he's paid off for me, especially last week, especially in that scoring. I'm starting him as an RB2 in a couple of leagues because of buying again this week. I believe in the kid. I'm hoping that, he can get into the end zone a little more. I mean, Swift's looked really good, so it's kind of hard for him to really overtake that backfield like I thought he possibly could, because I wasn't really a Swift guy coming into the season. He's been bouncing around like a journeyman the last few years, and he hasn't really blown up. But I do think that he's going to have enough of a role to be a flex option for you based on matchup. I think there's going to be a lot of lineups this week just because of how many, teams are on bye. I'm forced to start him in multiple leagues. But I believe in it. I do think that there's something to this, obviously, because Ben Johnson did this with Detroit. This shouldn't be surprising to anybody.
Yeah, they've been playing really well lately, especially in the rushing attack. They had a really good matchup against the pass last week, but they didn't need to because they were so dominant on the ground. That offensive line's really gelling and doing a nice job of coming together. And it's not that Caleb is playing poorly. It's just why mess with what's working. So it'll be really interesting to see. Before we jump into this couple questions that we have in the chat, we're going to transition real quick into Fantasy Football Tinder. Each week we are swiping left and swiping right on the trending topics around the National Football League, just to give you all a flavor of what this will look like. The streets want to know, will our boy Zach have the best threads this week at Acrisure? We've got the all-white jerseys with the Packers. We've got the yellow throwbacks with the gold helmets for the Steelers. So I can only imagine what Zach's going to be pulling up with Sunday night under the lights at the AC. Everybody knows that he's going to be the best dressed. They're going to swipe right. They're going to see the green hearts pop up on the screen. For all the haters, the people that don't understand fashion, they're going to swipe left and just be like, hey, what's that about? You'll see that with the red X's, and that will look a little something like this. So, Drew, we're going to start with one that I think that we're on the same page on. It kind of continues into that topic that we were just having with the Chicago Bears. Odunze, he came out the gate hot, really big start to the fantasy season. Last couple of games kind of fallen off a little bit. The people want to know, is it still Rome, sweet Rome? And before you answer, I just want you to know that 66.7% of America believe that Rome will bounce back into kind of the early season form that he had. And we had 33% of America say that magic is gone and that offense isn't really what we want for our pass catchers in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm swiping right. He's my only fantasy. I feel like I have no choice but to swap right. There was some stuff that when I kind of broke this down and looked at the numbers that were a little bit concerning for me. I mean, we talked about Swift and Monangai. His targets are down since the bye. He was averaging 9 targets a game prior to the bye. He's down to 5 in the last 2 weeks. I think it's just been a nature of the games that they've been playing. Honestly, like they've been running the ball so well, but he's running routes on 84% of the snaps, and he's playing the most snaps on the team at receiver. Fantasypoints.com. That's the name of the site, right? Like
Fantasy Points Data.
Yeah, Fantasy Points Data. This site that Joe hooked me up with. I was yeah. I was checking that out, and something really stood out to me. They designed their passing plays that he's the first option on 27% of their passing plays, which is 10% higher than the rest of the team. Like he's obviously the guy that they want to look for. I think that I'm a little worried that his average per reception was a little down as well, and it seemed kind of like he needs to get into the end zone for him to really pay off for you, which kind of sucks. But I just believe in his talent. I do think that they're going to end up passing the ball more, especially when they play the Ravens this week. I think that especially if Lamar plays, they're going to have to throw the ball a ton. So I think that Rome should have a great game this week. I feel very confident about that. And they have plus matchups the next 3 weeks. So I feel good for a bounce back. It's just that we were kind of locking him in as a top 10 to 15 wide receiver. With the running game coming on, I think that his ceiling could drop a little bit. That's my main concern with him, but I obviously am still swiping right because I believe in the talent. I still think he's going to be a viable starter. Yeah. I own him at 90% of leagues, so if anybody's frustrated with the last 2 weeks, I feel your pain, but I feel good about him bouncing back.
Yeah, so just to follow up, I agree with you. I think that he's going to be more of a wide receiver 2 that has more of the wide receiver 1 upside. No one has wide receiver 1 games every week. Right. There's going to be variance throughout the season. It's unfortunate that they've kind of happened back to back. I do think that they've changed the offense a little bit. So the biggest difference that I've seen from the first 4 weeks to the last 3, his catchable target rate was 78.8% in the first 4 weeks. It's dropped to 54.5. The reason for that,
get dialed in together.
No, well, the reason for that is that his ADOT has gone up by 4 yards. Yeah. They're using him to stretch the defense, go for these knockout plays because the running backs are playing so well. And there has been a couple instances where they had some big plays that he had called back. I mean, he would have had a big play for a touchdown last week. They got
that play was ridiculous. That penalty was just stupid.
So it's little things like that. I don't like to kind of oh, well, if this thing that happened wouldn't have happened,
it's bad luck.
But it is what it is. So you ride with him. If no one's gonna be dropping him, but it's a good time to maybe buy low, especially if you're kind of in that pole position looking at the playoffs. You can kind of tier up and get something with him when people are down on him a little bit or feel like they need that win. So with this kind of question in mind, Chad had a question. He said, wild one for you guys. Shocking. He wants to trade Josh Allen. So it's Josh Allen, Marv Harrison Jr., or Drake May, Rome Odunze. To me, Allen and Marv is the easy choice for me. I like Drake May a lot. I like Rome a lot. But Josh Allen is consistently a top 2 quarterback in fantasy and has shown no signs of slowing down. And Marv, I think, has a Kyler problem that will eventually go away.
Honestly, I feel like it's more fair if it's just Josh Allen for those two. That's just how good Josh Allen's been and his value in Dynasty. I don't agree. Even throwing Marv in there, I think you're hurting yourself. I mean, I would consider May and Rome depending on where your team's at. Because, if you're win now, you should be keeping Josh Allen. There's no reason why you would trade him if you're win now.
Well, if you're not winning now with Josh Allen, I mean, it's not a bad package, but I would still – you're right. I would want to keep Marv. Yeah. So I'm with you on that one. Let's go over to Dummy Man Pluto. Welcome to the show. I have George Kittle as my tight end. My backup is Juwan Johnson. Should I drop Johnson to stash the Jags defense? 1,000% drop Juwan Johnson. As long as Kittle is healthy, that's who you're going to be playing. And even if he's not healthy, you probably don't want to be playing Juwan Johnson anyway. Aranda Gadsden would have been a great waiver wire pickup for you this week in the Chargers. He's been really blowing up these last couple of weeks. If they're available, on the subject of the Chargers, they have the Thursday night game against Minnesota this week. A lot of people dropped them either before last week because they had a tougher matchup, and they kind of been sitting out there on waivers. They have a really strong matchup not this week coming up. I think that Minnesota is a viable fantasy opponent, but if you look at the week 9 schedule, I'm going to have them probably ranked as my my number 1 defense for the week. So let me see. So they've got the Chargers the Chargers got the Vikings this week, and then the week after that, let me see. They're playing the Titans. So it's like if you can line that up to have them against the Titans are giving up a ton of sacks. They don't really have a lot of good offensive weapons. That would be someone, if you're trying to stash another defense, the Chargers are going to be a great stash for this week. The Jaguars, it's really going to come down to the health of Devin Neal. He's been having a defensive player of the year type season. A lot of interceptions, doing a lot of different things. The Jags against the Raiders, that is a solid matchup. I don't hate that at all. So that is a good option, but I would prefer to have the Chargers, especially having Khalil Mack back for that game against the Titans.
Yeah, I agree. Devin Lloyd, though, just in case people don't get confused, you said Devin Neal by accident, but he meant.
Oh man, yeah, my bad. I saw the Saints logo and then I just completely blanked. But you're right.
Yeah. So I agree. I'm not really the type that really stashes defenses because, like, for me, I like to try to pick up a running back that could be one injury away from, being a starter for you. I like to stash guys like that are just sitting out there and just maybe get lucky that one of them there's an injury where you can get a running back and get ahead of the waiver wire. But if you feel like you need to stash a defense, I agree with Joe's assessment of going with the Chargers. Yeah. Anybody against the Titans or the Dolphins is the two you want to try to get ahead of. Which,
yeah,
I don't know. But next week.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, there's like very clear offenses that I want to be streaming against. The Titans, you have the Texans, even depending on who they're playing.
Dolphins.
The Dolphins for sure. You have, let's see, the Saints. I can definitely get behind. The Raiders. The Cardinals, depending on what's going on with them, their flavor of the week's pretty rough. So. Yeah. So we got, all right, so let's transition to Tinder number 2. America's split right now, Drew. So 50% voted one way, 50% voted the other way. Just kind of the way the country is right now. It's very divided. TreVeyon Henderson, practically a first-round pick in last year's draft. Very much hyped coming into the season, especially in the preseason after he had a 100-yard kickoff return. Things were all looking good. We're like, oh, man, Ramondre, the fumbling dude, he's going to be gone by the wayside, and it's going to be Treyway season, and it just has not panned out that way at all. We're coming into week 8. There's no real role in the team. We have dudes coming off the street that are getting more playing time than him. Drew, do you see any scenario where there's a way for Trey to play this year? Are you going to keep hanging on to him?
So I have a few leagues where I actually did draft TreVeyon Henderson, and it was brutal because it's like the 4th, 5th round where he was going because of the hype in the preseason. I'm still holding him if I can, but I do think that he's droppable, especially if you're really hurted by him again. And I think that he's a guy you drop. I'm swiping left on him. The main reason I'm swiping left on him is like I just don't know when it's going to happen. Like I believe in the player. Vrabel really does not like this dude. Like when he was coming out of Ohio State, the talk was that he was the most NFL ready. Great pass protector from the backfield. Apparently that's not true at all. I don't know what's changed, whether or not he just can't live up to the hype against this type of talent in the NFL or what. But he had 9 snaps last week, tied with Terrell Jennings, an undrafted running back from Florida A&M. Vrabel was raving about this dude. He's like, we just found our 5-minute running back. Like we're have a lead. Terrell Jennings is gonna be on the field the whole time to milk the clock. Like TreVeyon Henderson's an afterthought with Mike Vrabel right now, and I'm swiping left because it's going to take an injury to Ramondre Stevenson for him to be impactful. Like
we know that fumbling isn't going to put him on the bench.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, his snaps have been down over the last 2 weeks. He did have a decent snap percentage the week prior, but that was just because Stevenson had been fumbling. Like Vrabel just doesn't like this dude. Like it's wild to me. Like why did you pick him where you picked him if you didn't feel this way about him? Like they should know. Vrabel, it's not like Vrabel just came in, he was picked last year and he's not his guy. Like he drafted this dude. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, I'm holding him because I think his upside is league winning. Like he could be David Johnson from his rookie season when he just came out of nowhere and just won everybody leagues. But it's going to take an injury for him to be playable. So he's really just dead weight on your roster. And you can hope that you can keep him if you have the roster stability, if you don't have a lot of injuries or bye weeks. Hold him. But like I don't see how this dude can be in lineups or even thought about being in lineups. Or, I mean, he's droppable if you really need the spot. But like you got to try to hang in there with him because you draft him with the fourth round pick. You got to hold him. But like,
yeah, I thought that was a bit aggressive. Like in Dynasty, I had him as like top 3 running back coming in. He's
Judkins, as you know, Judkins was my guy. He was actually I had Judkins and Genti at the top. I had Hampton third, but it was really close. I guess he was my RB4. I remember arguing with Platt with a lot because he was a big Henderson guy.
I think I went from what I remember. It was I had Genti, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins.
I took Judkins over Henderson in multiple leagues. The one where you got him, I took Judkins one pick ahead. It was like your flavor of what you like out of running back. I like the physicality that Judkins brought, so he was always my guy.
Yeah,
I like the player. It's just that it's going to take an injury, and I'm not going to sit here and bank on Ramondre getting hurt for TreVeyon Henderson to get a shot.
No, yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking a more optimistic lens to say the same thing, essentially. I think that your path for holding on to Henderson really is, TreVeyon Henderson is, what is your record right now? If I am 4-3, 3-4, less than that, you got to cut them. You got to find ways to get wins ASAP. If you're 5-2, 6-1, 7-0 right now, go trade him for a bag of chips. You need to be stacking your bench if you are in a position of power right now in your league to get upside plays. If that injury does happen, if Mike Vrabel just kind of decides to hang it up and become a monk, if like whatever it needs to take to have that there, having say Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt or Jordan Mason, you're not winning a championship with those guys starting for you, right? And I don't think it takes nearly that much to acquire Henderson. Like you could get Henderson for a bag of like mediocre Doritos. Like you don't really need to do like a ton to get him. But if he does take that step for what people expected him to be, then cool. If nothing comes of it, then you probably aren't playing him anyway, so it's fine.
Let me ask you something, because the way you kind of spun this, it didn't go where I thought you were going to go. But I actually got someone asked me on Twitter in a DM. I'm surprised I didn't bring this up to you before, but it was just because I was busy at work. But someone reached out to me that they were offered Daniel Jones for TreVeyon Henderson. Okay. I told him to turn it down. And the reason why I did is because the reason why he was only in the market for a quarterback is because he was worried about Lamar, and I think Lamar's going to be back and fine. But would you have done that trade?
I mean, if I needed a quarterback, yeah.
But Lamar, like it was yesterday, Lamar didn't practice. They were starting to pay.
Yeah, I would have done that trade.
Okay. Yeah, I told him no. Because to me, it was like, this guy obviously believes in the upside of what Henderson can bring, which is what we all believe in. I think if you have Lamar, like you're never going to play Jones anyways, as long as he's healthy. And I felt confident enough that he would be back from his hamstring today. But that's
I didn't think Lamar was going to be playing this week the way that they responded to like, hey, we're out of the bye week, he's out. And I was like, oh.
The only reason why, yeah.
today happened, and I was like, oh, maybe he is going to play. But
The only reason why I thought that he still would is because the first 2 days weren't actual practices. Like they were just putting a report out, and I thought it was just garbage. I still just hung tough with what I knew. Like he already missed 3 weeks essentially because of his bye. I didn't think that he was going to miss a fourth. I felt really good about it. And even if he did, it's just one more week, in my opinion, at the very worst. It's just a matter if he re-aggravates it, which it would suck if he comes back around. That happens, but it was just interesting. I want to hear your thoughts since we were talking about trading.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Daniel Jones guy, so I'm cool with that. I would say go for it. And if that's going to get that's a situation where it's you need Daniel Jones. If you've had Lamar out for a couple weeks and you haven't figured out that QB room, you probably need a win.
Right.
So I think that I would roll with it. You don't have to make that trade.
I think he said he was 4-3.
I would still make it. If you have any concerns that Lamar isn't going to be playing, then I would do it. But you can accept that trade Thursday, Friday, seeing how he practices and stuff. Right. Lamar getting hurt isn't going to increase Henderson's cost or Jones's cost to do that.
I'm actually surprised that Jones would have been something someone would offer. They must have had someone like an Allen or something. They just double dipped at QB.
I mean, I have leagues where I have Drake May and Daniel Jones because I was just drafting a couple guys late to see what happens.
I just feel like you need more for Jones right now. Is my thought process there. But
yeah. All right. So just to get a couple comments in the chat. So Chad said Henderson's closer to ceding touches to Jennings than he is a serviceable role in the offense. Scary thought. I don't think anybody saw that coming at all.
I added Jennings in a few leagues this week.
That's crazy. And then you think that they would trade Breece Hall and then send back Jets Henderson? That would be a sick trade for the Jets. I don't see there's any possibility that they would do it because then that would actually mean they were being smart.
Tomlin might retire if that happens. I don't think that happens. I don't think
Joe Flacco definitely owned him.
Which is crazy because it really wasn't about Flacco. It was just about the Browns.
But I mean, Flacco owned him, and they tried to switch stuff up, but then Darius Slay was on skates. Joey Porter doesn't know how to keep his hands to himself. Ramsey did not have himself a game for as much as he's talked on podcasts this year, so we'll see.
Chase is
a player. One last one. So if I type out my 2 best teams in my Dynasty Superflex League, will you break them down for me? Ronnie Dog. Let's do it, baby. Come on. So get to typing. We'll take a look at the teams. While he does that, we are going to switch into our last segment of the day. It is our OnlyFantasy subscriptions for the week, where every week Drew and myself will give you one name that we think is going to have a breakout performance that we will be subscribing to. Before we can dive into the future, we must first analyze our pasts. Drew, you had yourself a nice little week. You had selected Quinshon Judkins. He won the wet t-shirt contest. He won you the flame emoji, 25 carries, 84 yards, 3 touchdowns. Didn't even have a target in that mud bowl in Cleveland with a RB4 finish. I did not have as much fun. I had Nico Collins, 4 receptions for 27 yards on 10 targets, wide receiver 57, and a concussion to boot. The opportunities were there for Collins. He had a couple of easy drops that he should have had. But at the end of the day, you got to make the plays. So, Drew, it's week 8. We're almost halfway through the fantasy season. We've both had some hits. Let's get you back in on the winning side here, my friend. What do you got?
Yeah, so last week I had Quinshon Judkins, like you mentioned. Dude popped off, but I just needed that win because I was 2 or 3 weeks in a row where I just had not what I was expecting my OF. But for this week, it's not the best start to it because we talked about pre-show. I went with Breece Hall, and this was prior to Tyrod Taylor being announced that he is fighting with an injury as well. I kind of like it better if Taylor plays, but we'll still roll with this. I think Breece Hall, I think he's been mediocre because he's been bad against tougher matchups, but he's produced well enough against good matchups. And specifically for this week, they got the Bengals. And the Bengals not only have been gashed on defense, but they've done even worse against running backs that offer a lot in the passing game. So they've given up the 5th most receiving yards this season to running backs, the most receiving TDs, and the 4th most receptions. So, I feel good about Breece Hall this week. I am a little more concerned with Tyrod Taylor potentially not playing. I think this could be an absolute dud if Fields.
How does this always happen to Tyrod Taylor? Every time that he gets an opportunity to take over a team, he gets an injury from out of nowhere. He gets his lung punctured, getting something going on for a rib injury. This happens to him time and time again. He is maybe the most unlucky, or maybe the most lucky backup quarterback of all time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Chad went into the chat saying that he's picking Isaiah Davis. So I want to see what are their snap counts right now, honestly. Let me check.
Isaiah Davis honestly has done less than I have expected after they had the Allen injury.
Right. So I'm not really worried about him eating into time. I actually added him in a lot of dynasty leagues, Isaiah Davis, because I am in the camp that I do think that he's going to get traded, Breece Hall. And that's another reason why I like him this week. I feel like they want to showcase him. That way they could try to get a little more out of a deal for Breece Hall.
It's funny because you and Chad are saying the exact thing in opposite directions. He's saying they don't want him to get hurt. They need to get Davis ready to be the lead back, and they need to make sure that he's staying healthy. And you're like, they need to showcase his ass. They
need to showcase his ass, man. He's on the team. Why are they just gonna put him in a bubble? I don't think teams are gonna do that. If he ends up getting hurt, then frick it. They wanted to keep him anyways. That's what the whole talk has been, that they don't really want to get rid of him. I just think that the team is so bad. It was closer to a 50-50 last week, but they got blown out though. Right? Who they play last week?
Last week was pretty tough for them. They had played
was it 31? Oh no, that was a really ugly game. It was low scoring.
It was 14-10.
Maybe he's on to something. I didn't realize that Isaiah Davis was 29-33 in snap counts last week.
Yeah, the problem is that offense is unable to sustain drives at all.
Prior to that week, though, Breece Hall was just absolutely destroying him in snaps.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because despite that, Breece Hall has been in the 20s. He hasn't really done anything. He's been a solid if you get points per carries or something like that, that's really about it. But it was 13-6.
Yeah, Chad might
be very boring game.
Chad might be a couple seconds behind us because we kind of answered our question and then he started putting in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that they want to showcase him. I could be dead wrong. And honestly, this whole thing could be blow up in my face because Justin Fields might play. And my premise was that I think Tyrod Taylor's going to play. As soon as I put this together and gave you my final thing, they said that Tyrod Taylor's hurt. And I was like, this is crap. But the matchup's good, so let's just hope that it pays off.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump in before we give my OnlyFantasy subscription. We got to hit it. We'll hit a couple things. So we've got Roan Dog, Team 1, Josh Allen, Drake May, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Puka Nacua, Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Bowers. Team 2, Jackson Dart, Jordan Love, Bijan, assuming that's Jonathan Taylor, Achane, Chase, Rice, Adams, Waddle, Andrews.
I don't really know what to say. They're really, really good teams.
They're really solid. Crazy. Yeah. It's funny because I'm sitting here what would I do to kind of better it? And it's just I think you just let it ride. Henry is somebody that you'd be hey, can I trade him? But what are you going to get for an aging Henry who struggled this year? And also, his playoff schedule and his upcoming schedule is off the chain.
Just hold it.
You just hold it and let it ride and keep you basically are just using those picks to fill the cupboard because you don't need to trade out to kind of make something happen. I think that second team, it would be nice to have a better tight end than Andrews. He's kind of fallen off a bit. We'll see what happens when Lamar comes back. But yeah. Jackson Dart, he's been looking pretty solid. Jordan Love, he's a really solid QB2, but that running back room, and then you combine that with Chase, Rice, you can't really ask for much more than that. So, 10 out of 10, no notes. I'm glad I'm not in your league, my guy. Or gal.
That first team is the type of team that could make a league fold. honestly. Like, that's how good that top team is.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, the one complaint I do have about that top team is that their tight end has like horrible hair, but like we're really just being nitpicky right now. But
he doesn't have a PCL right now, but if you give him a couple weeks, which they actually said that he should play after the bye this week, so you should have him back next week. So
yeah, for sure. No, it's a shame that they let him deteriorate himself after that first week. Like, he's the kind of guy that he will not miss time if you ask him.
He should have sat.
He should have sat for sure, and they didn't. And it's like they did not do right by the player, and then it hurt the team as a result. So it's just really unfortunate. All right. So he said that team 1 is better, but team 2 is my team. But hey, man, get after it for sure. That's awesome. My dynasty teams do not look like that. So.
Oh wait, is his first team not his?
I don't know.
I think that he was rating 2 teams like in the same league.
Oh, it's the 2 teams in the league. Yeah. So I mean, team 2 is his team. I like the bones of it.
Team 1 is a little better though, my guy.
Team 1 is definitely a little better. It's pretty insane. You got to find a way to upgrade on Andrews though.
And if you have to compete against Josh Allen and Drake May, you got to do something about the quarterback position too. Like, I don't know if you can absolutely rely on Jackson Dart all year. He could be a solid.
But you say that, but if you look this stretch of games was supposed to be brutal for him, and he's been top 6 both weeks.
Yeah, it could just be a hot streak though, mirage. Like, I think that he's a solid QB2, but Jordan Love's not a solid QB1. So like, you're still like,
yeah, for sure.
A little bit. You have 2 QB2s when you have 2 QB1s on the other team. Like, Drake May's a top 5 quarterback right now, and Josh Allen's the best quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like, especially in Dynasty, the best thing that I can say about stuff like this is like, you can try to create like a super team, but at the end of the day, you just got to get into the dance, and anything can happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a team right now that going into the season, I was like, there's no way that I'm not going to win all of this. It was like my receivers were Agbuka, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins. Like, I had all of this stuff going for me. And then it's like my whole team is on IR right now. And it's like, well, I don't even know if I'm going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's like, should I sell off? Should I not? Like, so it's like, yeah, team 1 looks unbeatable right now. It can all flip like so quick.
Team 2 is good enough that you could definitely surprise that team in the playoffs for sure. Because with Bijan and Taylor has 3 games this year with 3 touchdowns. Like he can do that, and Achane can blow up and chase.
And you know what's crazy is that before the season, you could not, like, no one would trade Taylor, but like no one would take him either. Like, people are like, oh, he's injury prone, and it's like
I just sent an offer for Jonathan Taylor in a dynasty. Like, it's so funny you said that.
I'm saying like before this year started. Like, yeah. Like, it was like impossible. Like, he was just kind of like, like, I'm nervous, and it's like, no, he's still really good.
We were dead on that though. In the preseason, when Daniel Jones got named, we both were just all about Jonathan Taylor at that point, and it absolutely hit.
I'm cracking up because my fishbowl team is basically all Colts. Like. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I really like Jones. I really like Taylor. I really like Pittman. And it's been a great ride. All right, so my only fantasy for this week, one thing I do want to pull up is that Chad said that he feels like he jinxed the Steelers last week with his pick. That's fair. He picked Kenny G. Didn't really work out for him. So I'm here to right the ship. We're going to bring it back. I thought about picking Throw Rogan, Aaron Rodgers, after his 4 touchdown performance. He's saying that it's not looking to be like this sort of like revenge game for him. The Packers are really tough against the run. And you know what? I feel that just because all of the tight ends got to score last week, sans Connor Hayward, who probably should have scored, but he just had that one go through his fingertips. There is a 5th tight end on the Steelers who did not get enough love last week that I think on National Tight End Day is going to get a lot of run. And that tight end is DK Metcalf. So DK Metcalf had a 4-game touchdown streak get broken last week. I think that he's going to return to form. If you look at what the Green Bay Packers are doing on defense, yes, they've been very good about getting after the quarterback, which means that they're going to be throwing quick, routes over the middle to try to beat those blitzes. Who is the guy for that for the Steelers? DK Metcalf using that yak ability. Green Bay in the last 3 weeks, 39.4%, 39.4%, 39.4 points per game in the last 3 weeks. That is fifth. And who did they play? Arizona, Cincinnati, Dallas. Now, if you look in those games, the wide receiver one for both Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, that was his first game that he kind of had the bounce back with Joe Flacco. And then you had George Pickens go off against them. I can totally see a scenario where DK does the same thing. I like the boys this weekend. Everybody's all fired up about Tomlin, how he can't coach, how he can't do this. You know what? Divisional away games on a short week. People are like, how are you not prepared? That's how you had 3 days to get ready for it. It is what it is. Move on. They're 0-7 on Thursday night AFC North games on the road. Yeah. It is what it is. We're going to move past it. I personally love the new jerseys that are coming out. I might go buy one on Saturday. Don't tell Sarah. But, yeah, we're going to have a good time, and I think DK is going to be a big reason for that.
I agree with all of that. I plan on buying a DK, one of those jerseys.
I was too, bro. I was too.
Speaking of the Steelers, your boy will be in attendance for the Colt game in 2 weeks.
Colts game. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I finally stopped complaining online about how the tickets were too expensive and just gave him my money anyway. So
you should have waited. I've taught you nothing.
It's just because I live 4.5 hours away. Like I gotta.
It doesn't matter. I've gone to away games and bought tickets like at 12:55, and it's been fine.
Where do you usually sit though?
Lower bowl.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I just love being in the 200 level behind the end zone. So like as soon as I saw an option for a decent price, I was like, oh, let's do it.
I respect it.
We will
also,
be there.
Pittsburgh Steelers at Steelers. Why are you charging for under 2 people that sit in laps for tickets? Like,
I called today actually to see about that, and they were like, you could just buy the cheapest seat to get in and just have them on your lap. It doesn't matter, but you still have to buy a ticket. But like, they were just like, just buy a standing room ticket for them.
No, man, just do better, Steelers. Like, Rudy, you don't need the money that bad, bro. Like, just show. Frustrating.
Facts.
All right, so people want to know where they can find us, why we can't set up all of our media assets before the show like adults. It's like that. You can fix these things. Technology is beautiful. But if you enjoyed the show, if you like what we're doing here, you can find us on our personal handles at JOEFRK, at Drew Hannis. Very easy to find. If you want to talk to us on the show accounts, you can find us at AT412FF Show on X. You can find us on YouTube and on Twitch at Around the 412. Basically the best place to be for anything that's going on for Pittsburgh related sports. We are neck deep in Rocking Around the 412, an initiative that we are partnering with the Salvation Army to bring holiday spirit to children in the Pittsburgh and surrounding Pittsburgh areas. We had over 50 kids get help last year. We'd love to keep moving that up. It's been really fun to be a part of that so far. I think this is year 8. So, I mean, something that's been going on for a long time. And, yeah, pour one out for our homie, the Muscle Hamster. Really shocking news. Very intrigued to see how that story kind of pans out. But, yeah, very, very sad situation for sure. He definitely had his heyday for a few seasons there in Tampa Bay. Absolute bell
count. He had
count
like a 4-game stretch where he just went absolutely bananas and just won people so many leagues. It was like he went 200 like 4 games in a row or something, like multiple TDs.
Yeah, so Doug Martin a couple days ago passed away. 6 to 7 seasons in Tampa Bay. Spent a little bit of time, I believe, with the Raiders as well. But 36 years old, way too young. So sad to see that for sure. But Drew, any closing thoughts before we go to week 8?
Covered everything. Just best of luck to everybody during Buymageddon. Like I have a boy, I sent you his team last night, who literally his whole bench is just buy players. He dropped Baker Mayfield today because he needed to get another person, and he was just like, I'm just gonna roll with Justin Herbert. I probably would have dropped Herbert and kept Baker, but
you know I don't really care for having 2 quarterbacks a lot of the times, but if I was in that dire of a situation, I would probably just not play defense.
Same, honestly.
So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Even then, his team was just so like he needed everything he can get.
Yeah, or make a trade if you can. At least get something back other than just giving that kind of thing up. But
Right.
We'll see. All right, my friends. Well, this has been another episode of the Around the 412. I'm Joe Frick. That's my boy Drew Hannes. Best of luck in week 8. We will see you here next week, 8:30 Wednesday night. I will be coming in hot, fresh off a work trip from Detroit, Michigan. So be ready. It's going to be a great time. 6 hours on the road for me, but we'll be here. We'll be ready, and we'll be getting you ready for the playoff push. So we'll see you then.